Hi there. I was traveling home yesterday and I saw some advertisement, and it was a very typical type, like pry-loose advertisement. So first of all, there's basically if you have a public with a well, completely oblivious of a certain issue, like molds on your feet or something like that, and you want to sell a medicine for that, and of course it's not going to work if you put the medicine advertisement on right away. You have to work about a year or so giving messages about how your feet are important and how molds are very dangerous and they can kill you and all that stuff. And you have to put that in the periphery of people's let's say perception, so that they don't really object to the whole meme, the idea, and then after a while they'll have it and they'll start using it and applying it when you come around with your medicine. And they'll think, okay, so well, yeah, this mold thing is really no, usually you just have an itch and then you ignore it, but now it's a big problem, and you respond to that medicine. And that's basically a whole sequence of advertisement, a strategy with which you install a meme in the public mind. And I realized, thinking about that's basically, of course, completely worked out. Every marketing strategy, every way that you can approach the public has already been designed. The only thing is that people try to avoid it and evade it, so they'll change their sensitivities if they notice that there's a pattern. And for that reason you have to always go back to the most gullible, most dynamic group, which is the young people, and the ones that people focus on naturally, because they're more attractive, beautiful, have nicer skin and hair, and say people attract to that for the original reasons. And then they see something like new skinny jeans and all that stuff, and then you put the skinny jeans on your bullshit, and people start attracting and watching that, and you can install your memes anyway. So there's only the surface layer of what is beautiful, the qualitative aspects of that is changing. And the same goes, of course, for, let's say, intellectual authority. It was with the universities for a long time, and then it can be with think tanks, and then it can be with certain people that prove they're super smart. A good example is for instance, recently you had that boy that designed this solar panel with the Fibonacci sequence of numbers in it, and it's not, people don't get anything about this whole aspect of designing solar panels and making them more efficient. It's actually impossible to do that, but they know the word Fibonacci, and that it's a sum. They usually don't even know what it is, but it occurs in Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, I believe, and all these new books. It's always the same. They're like isolated mental concepts, objects, just like intricate cogwheels and all that stuff, like inside of a watch. That's very traditionally recognized as something that symbolizes complexity, and from complexity the stuff that you don't understand can arrive suddenly completely unexpected results. And so then you accept it. You say, okay, well, of course, you know, it's the Fibonacci number sequence that he uses, so yeah, then of course you can suddenly have much more solar power from exactly the same area. Actually, of course, it's total BS, and you recognize that, but you can almost, if you get a little bit more paranoid, or paranoid, or I don't know how you say that, then you can say, well, of course, if it's a long-term marketing strategy where you basically divide the people into groups, and you make and you install all these basically words like taxes and like climate change, pollution, but also look, how do I distract the intellectual ability, or how do I make compliments to somebody's intellect by using words? Of course, I can put them into movies. I can put them into little, let's say, make, like, do you have one episode of the, I believe it was the X-Files, where there's a hypnotist, and then he uses the word cerulean blue, which is intriguing word because I never heard about it when I saw that. So I looked it up, and of course it's simply a type of blue. But the whole series, for like 1 hour, you're talking about somebody that uses that word, and then when somebody in the future uses that word in a advertisement message, you have an association which is completely irrational, completely nonsense, but it distracts you very much, and you can your intellect is blocked because half of your mind is thinking about that episode with the hypnotist, and I believe that's like a truck driver that hears the code word, and then he phases out, he goes into trance, and he doesn't drive his truck anymore. And that's just a nonsense example, but it is an example of how popular media can install concepts and thoughts and even possibilities and options that are irrational, because they're all fantasy. It's all a fantasy dominated world. And Napoleon already said that the imaginary world of the people is what you need to govern, because it's not it's not their sense of reality that you're gonna affect as a ruler. I rephrased it, but that's what he says. It's virtuality where power is grabbed and gotten. So it doesn't take a lot to understand that if you have the media empire and you have this new basically programming devices like television and internet and all these media with sound and image trying to pretend to be reality, that it's very easy to, and if you take a longer term strategy to that, because that's the most devious thing to detect, a long term strategy of deception is very hard to detect. So you can have, they can invent a new power source, and it's like it's banana power. So you have lots of bananas, they go to a factory, and it's touted to be, of course, in the scientific media, it's touted to be like a huge source of energy. It's going to be banana power across the world, but the first factory explodes, so it's not very safe, but it's really very promising. So millions are pumped into banana power, but it never ever existed, never does anything. It doesn't exist simply. But you can keep that going for about 5-6 years. And then there will be people that say, no, there really is banana power. Even though they have never seen a banana power generator, they don't understand the principle, they were never told that there was a principle. Just the fact that you try very hard and act as if there's something there will convince a lot of people that there's actually something there. And if you couple that fact that there is, basically you have of course movies with actors, then you have marketing, which is also acting. It's also professional deception. And then you have politicians that are constantly lying and trying to give you a false reality in which abortion is a big issue and in which gun rights are a big issue, or whatever Bachmann talks about. It's nonsense. You should 100% ignore it and look locally and make sure that the laws don't change and you're not being affected by any type of new legislation of even more right-wing person. And you see, if you couple that, and you couple that with the total information environment that we have these days, so even I'm on Facebook, and you can look me up and you know a lot about me. Actually, you can know almost everything. Then there's no coincidence anymore. You can completely program anybody. You can give him a personalized YouTube experience with personalized search results, which will move or sway or change the minds of people, because you get a different selection. Just like when you go to a supermarket and they know your buying pattern because you have given them the information about what you buy, and they design different. Let's say you have a special price for a certain product, and then when you go to that product, they made sure that they put all the other stuff that you usually buy close by or something like that. You can simply divide your whole approach, make it client specific, CRM, 100% from A to Z. And and that's the environment we're in right now. So that's the environment in which we are trying to free ourselves, possibly, or trying to regain control from the fossil fuel dominated control structures, which is not going to happen if we don't start responding to that, if you don't say, well, you know everything about me, and you're going to be dominating me, or controlling me, or making sure that you keep an eye on me, and making sure that some things are possible for me and other things aren't possible. And so why, okay, I'm in Holland, so I'm pretty healthy, but why aren't threats that are identified in the same system, in the same media system, like GM crops and like fertilizer or like pesticides and all this stuff, why aren't they then eliminated? It's fine if you basically, if corporations govern the world, and if governments are basically only legalizing what the corporations would like to see, and if that's basically that's the outcome of the dominant fight. So it's more like a stochastic result. Stochastic means that you try a lot of times and you see what the results are, and on average the result is that the corporations win and the laws are changed in favor of the oil companies and etc. So it's not real, because if you look at individuals, then they will all vehemently deny it, but together the result is that they are all being swayed by oil companies' public advertising campaigns and marketing, Rupert Murdochs and all that stuff. If that's the result, then how do I give that mechanism responsibility for not endangering my life? That's a big difficulty, I think. So if you are in a and how do I opt out of this complete? Let's say, because of course I became a member of Facebook, and which it might have been a mistake, and I might erase my profile. But and I'm on the internet, which apparently using super cookies, they know whatever I do. How do I free myself from these private individuals that are simply trying to invade my privacy all the time? How is there, and if the government is in the hands of these private individuals, on average, how do I find somebody that will make sure that I can become anonymous again, that I can basically make free choices, that if I go on the internet, that I don't see all the time stuff that people know that I find interesting already? How can I develop my new interest? How can I discover new things that are not related to what other people like me were finding out and found interesting, or what other people like me were deemed to find interesting? So somebody might offer me a windmill with a solar panel integrated and show it to me on the side in the advertisements when I go Google, and yes, that's what I find interesting, but the whole environment is now so completely immersed in commercial interest that it's no longer a tool. It's like a virtual reality helmet that you wear involuntarily, because you have to look into this internet window and you have to look at the Google search results because you're looking for something, and it's without you knowing it, or without actually, especially without any awareness, it is of course affecting what I like and what I do. There's a very good movie by this British magician, and I'll link it beneath this video, where he invites advertisement makers, creative people, to make a certain advertisement, and then he predicts what they will go to develop, and it's very big. He uses subliminal or unconscious perceptions of these people to imprint on them a certain concept, a certain design, and they all come up with exactly that design when they start brainstorming, because when you start listening to what you've got in your mind, then you will find whatever somebody was smart enough to put in. And I think it's something that is important to resist, but it would be interesting to learn how to do that, how to basically become, of course, I already switched off television, but I'd like my internet to be clean of any marketing messages and stuff like that. Anyway, I'll put the video below this, and I hope you find this interesting. Thanks.